Ever felt frustrated being told PMS, heavy bleeding, and cramping are just normal parts of life? You are not alone. I loathed my monthly cycle for decades. That all changed when I earned 3 health coaching certifications discovering something incredible. Your period is vital. It is an outward sign of your inner health, and it holds the key to unlocking your full potential. I've been there battling heavy, painful periods, and I turn them into cycles with minimal PMS and cramping. Today, I'm on a mission to share that information with you. Pour a cup of your favorite drink, get comfy, and grab your headphones as we embark on a candid and empowering journey of self-discovery. Together, we'll demystify menstrual cycles, explore cyclical living, delve into natural birth control, and guide parents through those crucial period talks with tweens and teens. It's time to break the taboo around menstruation and embrace the wisdom it holds. I'm your host, Heather Allmendinger, and this is the Embracing Flow podcast. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us on Embracing Flow. I'd like to introduce our guest today, an expert at Embracing Flow, Dr. Cody Goldman. Welcome, Dr. Goldman. How are you doing today?
Fantastic. Thanks for having me on the show.
You are welcome. Listeners, here's why I have Dr. Goldman. He is challenging the mainstream health narrative and helping people unlock the full potential of their body and mind naturally. I love that. Cody Goldman is a holistic health and mind-body optimization expert who believes that the body has everything it needs to heal and thrive without relying on medications. His approach combines cutting-edge science, natural healing, and mindset transformation to help people achieve lasting health and peak performance. With a background in chiropractic care, neuroscience, and functional health, Dr. Golman has dedicated his career to helping people break free from fatigue, weight struggles, gut issues, and brain fog, all by getting to the root cause rather than just treating symptoms. He's here to share powerful insights on how to rewire the body, reprogram the mind, and take control of your health in ways most doctors won't tell you. Exactly why I would love having you on Embracing Flow, because everything in that bio is what I want to share with the listeners.
Totally. Yes, let's do it. Let's do it.
How did you get into the space where you're at? 'Cause I know everybody has a journey.
Yeah. So I built and ran one of the largest chiropractic offices in Denver. I had that for 17 years. And I'd help people heal from diabetic conditions. I actually had patients heal from AIDS, cancers. And over the time of doing that, I found there's one issue that I wasn't able to help people with specifically, and they were going and doing things that were incredibly unhealthy, and that was excess fat. That one issue was linked to the top 3, 4 leading causes of death: heart attacks, strokes, cancers. And when my patients were telling me, specifically my female patients, they're telling me what they were doing with Jenny Craig and Weight Watchers and fasting and all these things, and what they were telling me doing was so unhealthy. And so I set out more than 10 years ago to solve that as well. And I really, it wasn't one of my initial passions. It was just that I saw that it was such a big need. And from doing that, I found out several things. I found out that women take care of their health at a much higher degree or rate than men. And so I've decided to focus on women. And so that's one of the things that's happened is the medical community has done the same thing. So, women take the higher percentage of medications compared to men. And so that's why I created this company. And that's why I focus on where I focus right now was that reason.
Yes, and we talked off recording about menopause and perimenopause and how it was kind of a quiet topic, but that excess fat that we carry around and we're trying to lose because we don't want to carry it around. It creeps up on us during that menopause stage.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that you hear the complaints, you have your female clients, some of the biggest complaints that are linked to that excess fat that you've come across?
Yeah, so this is important because I'm so glad we're having this conversation because I inadvertently found out, we talked about menopause offline and now we're here. I inadvertently found out some things that I didn't know I was going to find out. Um, First of all, I was just wanting to solve the excess fat problem because for so many reasons. Excess fat is linked to cancer. I have patients who have had cancer and joined my program because they realize, oh my God, like this excess fat, it's the fat that's linked to cancer, but you got to understand that there's a really important concept. Let's just start off right from the beginning that no one is talking about and you'll never hear your doctor talk about. And it's the concept of being a fat burner or a sugar burner. And so here's how it works. In moments of stress throughout your life, throughout your teens, 20s, 30s, 40s, stress that is unmanaged. Okay. When I say unmanaged, unmanaged stress, depression medications, anxiety medications do not manage stress. They do not manage stress. They cause you to repress stress. Okay. Any repressions will begin to express. Now, you're talking to someone who's seen over 300 patients a week for more than 17 years. If you think that your body is a cause of your health problems, you're delusional and you've been trained incorrectly. Your body is and can only be an effect. Okay. And so again, I've worked with a lot of patients through this. And so what happens is going through stressors in combination with sugars, bread, cereal, rice, pasta, alcohol, that will actually change you from being a fat burner to a sugar burner. So just understand this. Every baby born in this planet is born as a fat burner. Every single one. The reason why is that God or the universe intended you to burn fat as a fuel source. When you burn fat, you have high levels of energy. You have balanced emotions. You have fantastic sleep. You have less disease in your body. So please hear that, first of all. When you burn fat as God intended you to be, your body's very healthy. Due to stress and excessive sugar consumption, which is what America has created for people. So you could say, I have all my patients start, I don't eat sugar. If you eat bread, if you eat cereal, if you eat pasta, if you eat rice, heck, if you even eat turkey bacon, you're eating sugar. They put sugar in everything, right? So your body will become efficient at burning whatever you give it. Okay. So there's a switch that flips, and this is where the hormones come into play. You're literally, I've seen this happen at 6 years old or 60 years old. Okay. So this is not an age thing, but your body will literally start switching over to sugar. Now, when it does that, there's a few things that occur. Because people ask me, how do I know if I'm a sugar burner? Very easy to find out. Number one, there's fat on your body. That's number one, you're fat. And you should have some fat is healthy for you. You should have some fat in your body. But when you start seeing 10 pounds plus of fat in your body, you're probably moving away from being a fat burner because your brain and body aren't recognizing fat anymore. Okay. The other way you find out is here's what I see. Think about this. If you're burning sugar as a fuel source, it means you're building your body off of sugar. Okay. What that means is potential things, more arthritic conditions, more aches and pains, way more gut problems. Sugar feeds bad gut bacteria, and you're making it your primary fuel source right now, right? Low energy crashes. And here's what I find that happens. And let's link this all together now with the topic we're on, okay? Understand that, and this is why I work with women between 35 and 55, okay? Because if this is going to be a powerful statement here, Heather, okay? If you go into menopause as a fat burner, it's pretty gentle. Now, this is not my words. This is women who have told me this now at this point, thousands of women, okay? Women who are a sugar burner who go into menopause, it is effing terrible. So, this is an important piece. Let's kind of start from there.
That oh, it makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Other people, I'm pretty sure their mind has been absolutely blown with that statement.
Yeah, it's and there's so when we look at hormones, it's really interesting. There's so much I can go into, but again, I figured this out by working with patients. I wasn't taught this in school. Matter of fact, if you let's just do a little bit of background. The medical, let's say the American Medical Association, has been targeting women as their primary candidate for medications. And it's because women take care of their body and their health better than men. That's a fact. And so, or at least they're more interested in taking care of themselves more than men are. And so it's interesting because one of the fallacies I've seen is that here's a big one I'm going to shift for your audience. Okay, a lot of the audience has been taught that hormones are the cause of the problem. So hormones are messengers, symptoms are messages. So this is just that one rewire is so big because you've been taught, our medical system teaches you that symptoms are the cause of your problem. So if you have a symptom like a headache or hot flashes, you now need something to stop that symptom. But that's ridiculous. That all that does is it cause you to not listen to the symptoms. And so for the last 20 years now, I've been so focused on making sure people understand their body, right? And I think this is one of the biggest ones you can see is that concept of fat burning and sugar burning. This doesn't happen. So you do not gain fat as a woman because you are at a certain age. You don't gain fat because you're a woman either, okay? What happens is over time, when you flip those hormones and your body starts burning sugar and it forgets fat, now your body goes, "Hey, I'm used to burning this," right? So that's when I've seen it becomes. I've seen arthritic conditions clear up, anxieties, depressions. I have a lady who's on day 10 of working with me right now. She went from 5 hot flashes a night to 1 in 10 days. And she didn't join it because of hot flashes. She didn't even tell me she had them. She just said, "Hey, I've got 30 pounds of fat I can't get off." So it's almost like the fat is like this it's that's also a symptom, right? That's also a symptom that something's going on inside the body. So I'll leave it from there.
Like I said, it makes sense to me. I'm sure there are some that have heard about the sugar burner versus the fat burner, but this is somewhat new. This is the first time it's really been on Embracing Flow about the sugar fat burner that we're focusing more on it. So if you find yourself, you've switched to that sugar burner, what, and you've given some symptoms about those hot flashes, just a lot of the symptoms, and those symptoms are your body saying something's not right. What are some things that we can do to flip that switch back to the fat burners? Because I know with the sugar burners, with the excess fat, we've got the excess estrogen then. And then we've got the excess, I mean, our hormones go all over the place with insulin resistance and the cortisol, and which makes everything worse. Because those
Mhm.
hormones look at that sugar and go, oh, okay, and it feeds off of that sugar. So how can we flip that switch from sugar burners back to that fat burner?
Yeah, absolutely. I have I've got about a 4 steps process to do this. But for time's sake, we'll just focus on just 1 or 2 of those, right? So one of the first things that you can do, one of the first things you must do, let me list off those steps, and so that way you can see them first, and we'll just focus on 1 or 2. So first thing we do is we actually turn on your fat furnace, okay, which I'll describe in a second. We halt sugar and dopamine control. We reset your metabolism, and then we identify your highest life priorities and we link them to your health. So that's the 4 step system I have. That takes about 40 days to do this. So in this time frame, we'll talk about just a few of those, right? Let's discuss metabolism first. We'll just start with the third step, okay? Um, one of the things that's happened recently is that there's a trend called fasting. Okay. Now, understand that these weight loss trends and eating trends have been happening for a long time. The trend of fasting is causing people to become fat. That's another statement that I hope people go, "Wait, what did he just say?" Okay,
Mhm.
so listen, inside your brain, let's look at your brain. You have a primitive brain center. So part of your brain is animal like. Part of your brain is more advanced and human like. So you actually have primitive brain centers. It's called the amygdala and hippocampus. The amygdala and hippocampus, their purpose are to avoid pain and chase pleasure. That is what our animal brain and it's what animals are wired to do. So what happens over time is if you take, let's say we are a society just living, we have no grocery stores and we're just living off, nature. What would happen, primitive prehistoric humans, we would maybe get some food, we would forage, maybe we killed something, we would eat it, and then we would basically go several days without food. So your brain has something called the anti-starvation mechanism. It's in the primitive brain, which says when you don't get enough food, it will trigger fat storage. Okay? This is about survival. So it's important you understand no matter how advanced that you think you are, you have a survival part of you that's still functioning. So this has been wired in. And the reason that was like that is because the human that had the most fat on their body would survive the famine. So it's about survival. Okay. Now, the problem is right now, in America, we don't really live in any famine. You got food everywhere, right? So then what's happening is what I notice is people started fasting. I get on the call every single day with someone, Dr. Goldman, I'm 30 pounds overweight. And like, what are you doing to lose the weight? And they go, oh, I fast. I love to fast. And I'm like, you love to fast, but you're 30 pounds overweight? Yeah, it works really well. How is it working? Well, I when I fast, I lose weight and then it comes right back. And I'm like, is that really working? And what I explained to him is that you're triggering the anti-starvation mechanism. Okay. So every time you miss a meal, this is important. Every time you miss a meal or you eat a meal that's less calories than you need, calorie deficits, extreme calorie deficits, you will trigger fat storage. That's why fasting is making more fat people. So now let's link this back to our metabolism. What I've noticed is that dieting, paleo, ketogenic, the way people are doing it, the way people are doing fasting is literally causing you to store more fat. So one of the biggest principles here is your metabolism is a good thing. For the last 100 years, the medical community wants to tell you, and the weight loss industry wants to tell you that you must curve your appetite. You've heard that a lot. Curve your appetite. Caffeine, curve your appetite. Well, I got news for you that whatever intelligent power built you, it gave you a mechanism to let you know you're hungry. That's what your appetite is. So if you curve your appetite, you're really working against this power that built you. So we, number one, make sure that people eat enough. The number one thing I do is make sure that women eat enough. And I can tell you it is quite a struggle when they've been used to being told the wrong thing, that they need to starve themselves. So that's one of the first things we do is we make sure they eat enough. And we follow this really magical thing that I'm not sure how many of you guys have heard of this, but it's a little thing called hunger. We actually listen to when we're hungry. Now, having said that, I'm saying that a little sarcastically because when you are a sugar burner, you cannot listen to your hunger. Sugar tricks your brain into thinking you are still hungry when you're not. That's why you can eat a box of donuts, but you can't eat a box of steaks. When you burn fat, fat appropriately triggers your brain when you're actually full and when you're actually hungry. So just understand, if you are a sugar burner trying to do this process, you're fighting against your hormones, okay? So one of the first things we do, we have women eat enough, and we have women eat on time. It's called chrononutrition. Your nervous system and your brain, your body needs to know it's going to get enough food. So that's one of the first things we do is we have people stop eating under eating. That many times people are doing it with salads. Salads are a free veggie, which means you're chewing and giving the perception of calories, but you're not getting calories. Zero net calories. So you just starved yourself. You just triggered fat storage. So we reset someone's metabolism. And that's one of the biggest things I can say is that I want to rewire this whole thing is you've got to eat enough and you must eat on time. That's one of the first big pieces.
And I'm just sitting here, my head is shaking for those that are just listening. I'm like, I know this. I know this. This is a man who's speaking my language. And I want to beat my head against the wall for those that are like, no, we got to stay at 1,000 calories. No, you're, ah. you can't starve yourself. You might lose weight, but you are going to gain it back and then some because you're you're ignoring your body.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You're
You nailed it.
ignoring your body.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we've got metabolism, which was step 3.
Yeah. Yes. So let's look at a big one. Let's take that first step, okay? Because I thought that would
Mhm.
be helpful. That first step is turning on your fat furnace. Now I'll tell you how I do this with patients. Um, so we literally take 2 days. I've put together a specific supplement that is all natural. I will never give people drugs and medications. And I want to make sure people are hearing this, the recent injections, Wegovy, Ozempic, Zepbound, and they'll come up with more ridiculous names for these things. But these do not reset your hormones. I want to make sure people understand that. They are influencing your hormones, which is different than naturally resetting your hormones. Because if you influence your hormones with an outside medication or injection, guess what happens when you're done with the medication? You, you go right back to where you were. You never really made a permanent change, right? So we use I use about a proprietary blend of about 7 different herbs, African bark and trees, and amino acids. And in the first 2 days, this is really wild, Heather. You'll see this. I have people eat high calorie, high fat foods for 2 days, what's called loading. And the reason I do this is because we want to make sure you start getting your brain used to like knowing it's going to get fuel. It's going to get it, right? So we eat high calorie, high fat fuel, and we take our supplement, which what the supplement does, it triggers your hypothalamus to start looking at fat and moving away from sugar. Okay. So we do 2 days loading. I have people eat between 3 and 4,000 calories in the first 2 days. Yeah,
That's a lot. That's
it
hard
is
to
a lot.
do.
It is hard to do. It is hard to do. And you can see number one, the reason why is most women have been under eating. So I want their brain to go, wow, we're going to get fuel, number one. Number two, I want to get them over any cravings. So in that time, someone can actually eat, you can literally eat some sugar. You can have this. I want to get them over that so they can have that. By day 3, they're like, oh my God, I don't want to eat this anymore. Okay. On day 3, I have them eat lean meats, vegetables, and fruits. That's the menu. And when I say that, that is a huge menu. Lean meats, vegetables, and fruits is a huge menu.
Mhm.
But here's the secret. On day 3, remember you're taking the natural supplement and the herbs that are triggering your brain to go back to fat. Okay, so for 2 days, your brain's going, wow, we're getting tons of high calorie coming in. Okay, on day 3, your brain for 2 days has been going, oh my gosh, you're getting all this high calorie food. It's going to expect to get high calories. But because you're eating lean meats, vegetables, and fruits, we're pulling out fats. We're pulling out all sugar. So we don't cook with any oils. We don't eat any fats. Okay. And I'll explain that in a second. But I want to ask you, Heather, if we pull all that out, where would your brain look for fat if we pull it out of your diet?
From your body.
Heck yeah. That's it. That's the key. So on day 3, we typically have anywhere from a pound to a pound and a half of fat loss per day from that moment forward. And again, this is done all natural. So you're not starving yourself. We're literally doing the opposite of what, right? We're working with your ancestral brain. And that's what's really important. That's what makes it sustainable. So on that day 3, you pull all oils and fats out. Now it's funny because I mentioned this because many people ask me about doing a ketogenic diet and they're putting fat in their mouth. And I have one big message for you people doing that. If you put fat in your mouth, your brain has no reason to burn it off your body.
Mhm.
And I know people, when I tell people that, they're like, wait, what? If you put fat in your mouth, there's no reason to burn it off your body. So we stop cooking with all oils. If you've got 30 pounds of fat on you, you have an incredibly beautiful fuel source. This is what God's intending you to use. Use the fat on you. So when we actually just do the lean meats, veggies, and fruits, when you actually eat the fat off your body, people think it's really gross, but this is what's happening. You're literally burning the fat off your body, and fat has 9 calories per gram. So fat has more than double the energy of a protein or carbohydrate. And that is why people feel so full doing the rewiring, the hormone reset this way.
It makes so much sense for me. I know my listeners are probably going, what did I just hear? Because
Yeah,
it's completely different than what has I'm hearing in other places. It's keto, which for me it's I've stopped using diet in my vocabulary. It's about
right.
lifestyle.
Good idea.
Um, I know individuals who've done keto, they've lost a ton of weight and then they start losing their hair. And they started, I mean, the body just, it needs certain things. And what you've explained makes so much sense. So the after day 3, is that how long do they stay with just the lean meats, the vegetables, and the fruits? Is
Yeah,
that
that's a good question.
for
Yeah.
a long period of time for the remainder of those 40 days or the remainder of the 37 days? You said it's about a 40-day process.
Yeah. So great question. And by the way, I so appreciate you too, Heather, because I've watched this. Like no one's going to convince me now that, that your body needs some kind of medications and drugs to be healthy. Like I've watched it with thousands of people, over 20 years. So I appreciate you're on that same page. Um, I call this the fast 40 because in 40 days is what it takes to reset your hormones. Now, that is with a ton of experimentation. It just ended up being 40 days. And I didn't have any really rhyme or reason. It's just I noticed on day 40 is when someone's hormones read. We tried 20, we tried 30. But then it's interesting because I started looking at the significance of 40. And I'm not a religious person, but I've studied many theologies, and 40 is a significant number in many
Mhm.
theologies. There's a 40-day process. So it was by accident that that happened that way. So lean meats, vegetables, and fruits for 40 days. And we'll see anywhere from 15 to 30 pounds of fat loss in those 40 days. And on day 40 is when I can confidently say, if you leave the sugars, bread, cereal, rice, pasta, chips, the simple carbohydrates out of your system, you will successfully switch your brain back over to what you were put on this planet to be. And when that happens, I can tell you, this is one of the biggest things I want people to truly hear is your health, the level of health when you are a fat burner versus sugar burner is very different. Again, let's bring menopause into this because, it doesn't matter if you're pre or peri, um, because if you are burning fat as a fuel source, you are using a high potent energy to build your body, your cells and tissues. If you're using sugar, you're using a very low potent. I see more disease process, more inflammation, gut inflammation, joint inflammation. I literally have women who are diagnosed with severe arthritis, and on about between day 30 and day 40, their joints completely stop hurting, completely. And they get a message back going, Dr. Goldman, my joints don't hurt. Do I still have arthritis? And that's when I have to explain to them, I got a little bad news for you. You didn't learn anything from your doctor. And they go, what do you mean? Well, did you tell your doctors your joints were hurt and inflamed? Yeah. Well, that's what your doctor told you back. So, what the American Medical Association has done has made words very fancy, meaning if you give words that people don't understand, they'll either fear or worship it. So, they've taken your words and turned them into Latin. Doctor, my joints hurt and are inflamed. Oh, I found the cause of your problem. It's arthritis. Wow, that's a fancy word. I'm confused with what I have. Arthros is Latin for joint.
Mhm.
Itis is Latin for inflamed. They told you the same damn thing you told them. If that doesn't piss you off and wake you up, nothing's going to. So the only reason they changed those words to Latin is to sell you a drug, and now you think you have the cause of a problem, but you didn't learn the cause. You learned nothing. And you actually basically have the same knowledge you had when you left, except you think you now have some disease. So that lady that said, Dr. Goldman, my joints don't hurt anymore. Do I have arthritis? That's what I told her. I said, you always had joints hurting, but you never had a disease. Well, that's really interesting because our medical system is not trained to find the cause of a problem. If you want to patch up your symptoms and you have an emergency, man, medications are fantastic for that. Thank God we have emergency care. But if you're trying to find a cause of a problem, you're looking in the wrong way. So when you look at this, when we treat the underlying cause of something, the symptoms actually go away. So she literally was on arthritis medication, which, by the way, has major side effects.
Mhm.
And so she asked me, should I keep taking it? And I go, well, you tell me. If your joints don't hurt anymore, should you take arthritis medication? But and that's why I tell the whole story, because she's trying to figure out, but wait a minute, I thought I had a disease I got to take something for. When you realize you never had a disease and now the symptoms are gone, no more arthritic medications. And so truly that's a good example of, I mean, I can go through that with gut bacteria, arthritis, hot flashes, migraine headaches, um, premature aging, wrinkling of the skin, bone degeneration, osteoporosis, the list goes on. This is a message I want to give to women. You are not, because you're a woman, does not mean you get sick at a certain age. Because you're a woman does not mean you get fat at a certain age. Because you're a woman does not mean that you are all of a sudden have more health concerns and health issues. You are designed, your body is trying to strive for health. It's not striving for disease. That's what the American Medical Association would love for you to believe, is that you're at the behest of some, I've turned 40 now, and they'll tell you this. Go to the doctor. Oh, yeah, you got headaches? Yeah, you're 40 now. That's when headaches come. Bullshit. Ooh, you have extra 20 pounds? Yeah, you're 50 now. That's what comes. Bullshit. Stop it. Question them. Not true.
Yeah, and I've heard it time and time again. Oh, well, sorry, it's part of being a woman at that age. You're just gonna have to live with it. Yeah, I call BS on that as well. When you have women that are coming to you, because I'm hearing about the fat, and I know the benefits of fatty acids, omega-3s and stuff like that. But you have, I'm sure you've had clients that have come to you with heavy cycles, painful cycles. When they go
Mhm.
through this process and they're not eating those fats because they're using their body, how do their cycles change? How does their pain change with regards to their cycles? Because
Beautiful.
I know myself, well, myself not necessarily used to be, but I know a lot of women in this age group, in my
Mhm.
age group, in that 45 age, that our cycles are irregular. They're heavy, they're painful, and we're put on birth control to
Mhm.
fix the problem, which it doesn't
Mhm.
fix it. You and I both know that. How does your program help them with, does it change that cycle? Does it change, not necessarily just change it, but does it reduce those symptoms that they're experiencing?
Mhm. Beautiful question. I want to say 100%. When you go to the doctor, instead of addressing a hormonal imbalance naturally, which is 100% probable and possible, doctors push synthetic birth control. And just so you know, this can cause blood clots, depression.
Mhm.
I can't tell you like how many women are taking this and they go, I'm not feeling as good anymore. And actually cause long-term reproductive issues as well. So
Mhm.
let's discuss that. So yes, this helps, but let's understand how does, so if in moments of stress, your brain looks for fat or sugar, okay? If let's just say this person A, as a woman, your brain's looking for fat. It's what it's designed to be, okay? Fat has 9 calories per gram. Why is that important? A protein and carbohydrate has 4. Okay. So, first of all, that woman A versus woman B, who's a sugar burner, okay? Woman A has double the energy to go through a menstrual cycle. Just hear that alone, first of all. You have more than double the energy to go through the menstrual cycle, because you understand you burn more calories in your menstrual cycle, right? And I'm talking to all your listeners here. Most women have never been taught that the menstrual cycle is quite an energetic process. You actually burn more calories, right? So one of the things I do is I make sure my women know how much to eat. We actually eat more during the menstrual cycle because you need more calories. So what's interesting, it'll actually many women it'll actually trigger fat storage because they're under eating. Okay, so that's number one. But as a fat burner, so woman A versus woman B, woman A has more energy to even go through the menstrual cycle. I think that's a really important thing to note. So 9 calories per gram versus 4. I mean, it could be all the same life situations. This person has more than double the energy to go through the cycle. Number one. Number two, because fat is such a potent, clean burning fuel, I want to make sure I emphasize the word clean. Person A has a big advantage versus person B. Woman B burning sugar. Sugar has many toxic byproducts when it burns. Okay, there's advantage to burning sugar and fat, but I want to say from this standpoint to your question and the cycles. Okay, if your body needs a lot of energy to go through the menstrual cycle, we would want it to burn fat. If it's burning sugar, number one, we have less energy. That's step one. But step two is there are tons of toxic byproducts burning sugar. So I want to point this in the right direction here. What do you think would happen if we're burning sugar very frequent? That's our main fuel source. And there's toxic byproducts during the menstrual cycle. Your body will encapsulate toxins. Many women have heard of something called ovarian cysts, which is a disease process that just magically appears because we breathed it in. No, you know that, Heather. Cysts is your body, your intelligence of your body, the intelligence of your body's way of actually encapsulating toxins. So understand if you're a sugar burner, they're releasing more toxins in the system. Now your body not only has to slough off cells, but it has to slough off toxins as well. So it'll actually create, and so you've heard of the PCOS is what they are calling it, polycystic ovarian syndrome. Gosh, that's just so dangerous, and it must be something I breathe in also. Poly means many. Cystic,
Yeah.
cysts of your ovarian, so ovaries, syndrome. Syndrome is one of my favorite. They just put that word in there to go, you've caught this syndrome. And so it's really a terrible thing. So understand if you're burning sugar, there's more chances of free radicals, cancer causing agents. So your body is going to create cysts to encapsulate it, which makes the menstrual cycle much, much more difficult. So I want to just let's go from with that, Heather. It's big, first of all.
That is a huge shift, and it explains what's going on and how shifting to being a fat burner, we can reduce, because when you have those ovarian cysts, you have heavier cycles. When you have polyps, you have heavier cycles, heavier bleeding, painful cycles.
Yeah.
And I have clients that come to me and say, Heather, this is what I'm experiencing. And I'm like, here are some things that you can do to reduce that. Because I am not a doctor, I'm just a triple certified health coach, but I understand the food and how it interacts and how to fix all that. This has been absolutely phenomenal, and we could talk for probably another 2 or 3 hours on all of this. But I know that you have a course that you are providing to the listeners and to those who
Oh, yeah.
know of you. Can you tell us a little bit about that, as well as where listeners can find you to get to know you better and possibly begin working with you?
Oh yeah, and Heather, by the way, I have so many things that I want to talk with you about. I was sitting there in my mind going, I would love some conversations around so women understand over in the 30s, 40s, and 50s and 60s what was done, what medications were given to women that's now caused all kinds of issues. But anyway, we have all kinds of stuff. So I appreciate you asking that. Um, so one of the best places, and I am offering your audience a free resource, um, is go to fast40weightloss.com. And on there, you'll see if you click free resources on there, the free resources are two things. I have one of the trainings. It's 3 secrets to permanent weight loss that will go through what those steps that I told you about in detail. I also have a book that I created. It was called Reclaim Your Body: The Hormone Reset for Busy Women. So it's one of my favorite resources as well. If someone's like, you know what, I want to just ask some questions, I'm going to do a consultation with you, you can click the link right there. But on that site, I think you'll love it because you're going to see I have tons of women who've gone through this process, and it's really cool because there's one of my favorite parts with the site is there's a little slider. You can slide before and after pictures on my patients. You can see before, like as a sugar burner, and after as a fat burner. And these are real women who came to me. Most of them said this. I most of them are like, I know how to eat right. I'm exercising, but it's not doing anything. So these weren't people that were like, oh my God, I'm lazy and I don't eat right. Most of these people were educated. They have tried fasting, they've tried Jenny Craig, they've tried paleo, they've tried keto. These are not lazy people. I work with a lot of high-powered women. That is my specialty. I work with driven, ambitious, high-powered women. So it's not about lack of education. It's just education in the wrong area. They've never been shown how to reset your hormones, and also we got to teach them how to stop the caloric deficit starvation stuff. So just want to say that in referencing this, these are people that have tried so many things and are intelligent. They know how to eat right. Some of my patients are even dietitians. So the key here is resetting your hormones, and that's something that almost no one's doing. So the fast40weightloss.com is a great place to go get that free resource.
I am looking forward to checking that out as well. Are you on any social media that we can go follow you?
You know what some of your listeners might really like is on YouTube. Just look up Dr. Cody Goldman. I'm putting out one video per week now, and it is solely focused not just on weight loss, but health. And I'm really having a lot of fun with that. Like I just did a video on the how GLP-1, how those injections work and what they're doing to people. When to eat fruit, when should not eat fruit. Like I'm putting all kinds of videos there that would think people would really love. But you can find Dr. Cody Goldman on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. But I think the YouTube is a great one for actual great stuff.
I look forward to finding you and learning as well, because even though we talk a lot of the same language, I know I'm a lifelong learner and I can learn a lot of stuff from you. Before we go, do you have any wise words of wisdom besides what you've already given us to take with us that will just really wrap this whole conversation up?
Sure. You were put on this planet to be in a healthy, energetic body. The reason I know that is because I know that this intelligent power that built you did not build you to be heavy, lethargic, and unhealthy. And one of the reasons that I do what I do is because I want people to live an inspiring life, to really live their full purpose. And I found that statement that health is the ultimate wealth is completely true. Without health, it doesn't matter how great your relationships are. It hasn't for me. Without health, it didn't matter how big my bank account was. Without health, you have nothing. And if there's one thing to master, it's your health that links to all areas of life. And that's one of the biggest things I can say is that truly know that you were put here to be healthy. You were not put here to be sick and unhealthy. That's not what your body is striving towards.
Wow. Again, another mind-blowing statement. Thank you so much, Dr. Cody, for taking us on this enlightening journey into the whole sugar fat burner and how we can change that and how it impacts our entire body. Thank you.
Ooh, thank you. Thank you, Heather, for being. Can I just tell you, because I've done many of these shows and podcasts, and many times I'm having to dance around the host because they get really triggered by telling the truth. And I gotta say, like, this is really, I want to encourage your listeners to listen to you because you are someone that knows what's really going on here. And I just appreciate being able to actually have a full, vulnerable, open conversation here.
I, I, it's taken a little bit to get to this point, but it makes a whole heck of a lot of sense when you actually look at it. So I thank you for sharing that. And yes, it's being open. It's questioning what we've been taught for how many years, because that's something's got to change. Our society just is going in a downward slope, and we've got to change that. And staying open and hearing things we have to question sometimes. All of the links that Dr. Cody shared can be found in our show notes. Thank you, listeners, for spending your time with us today. If you found a nugget of wisdom or a moment of empowerment, our mission is accomplished. Do you know someone who could benefit from this information? Please share Embracing Flow with them. Until next time, love hard, laugh often, and as always, be vividous. Talk to you soon. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you enjoyed this episode, please follow the show, submit a rating and review, and share it with your friends. Visit my website, embracingflowpodcast.com, to receive your free guide on 4 ways to decrease PMS. The link is in the show notes. Information shared on the Embracing Flow podcast is for educational purposes only. It does not constitute medical advice. Until next time, love hard, laugh often, and always be vividous.